Okay, we are now recording. Okay, so today we are going to finish up talking about agency, and then we'll get into our next subject, which is company law. I just put up the videos for company law now. So I put up that and the PPT, so it's available now, but it wasn't before. I've been super overwhelmed with other stuff, but that is all coming to an end this week. And then I will be free to devote my time back to grading your papers for one. So, okay, let's make sure we know what agency law is before we go on. So, Tiffany, when we talked about torts and contracts, we were always talking about two people, right? Like I sue you or you sue me. It's always two people. But with agency, we're really talking about three people sometimes. Who's the third person?
I think the third person is the fiduciary, the law.
Okay, so
the relationship itself.
When we talk about agency law, who are the people involved?
Oh, the agents and the person who has control.
And what's that person called?
I forgot.
Okay. Anybody? What's that person called? The person who has control over the agent.
He's the boss?
Not the boss. The principal. Right? The principal and the agent. Right? Those are the two people. Now, when I said there's a third person involved, the agent is the third person. If we have torts or contracts. So we started this course by learning about torts. Hey, remind me, Harry, what is a tort?
Tort is I'm not sure how.
Okay, Florian.
Civil wrong.
A civil wrong.
That's it, yeah.
It's something you do that's wrong, but it's not criminal. That's it, right? And there's lots of kinds of things you could do that are wrong. It's wrong to hit someone with your car. It's wrong to cheat someone. It's wrong to commit fraud. It's wrong to throw a knife on the street. It's wrong to sell someone something that you know is broken and could hurt them. It's wrong to prepare food carelessly and people get sick. I mean, anything could be something wrong, but it's not necessarily criminal, right? There are really two things that make something criminal. Any thought? What are the two things that make something criminal, Nicola?
When there is a negligence involved, for example.
Negligence doesn't make something criminal. Negligence is a tort. It is a civil wrong. Florian, what makes something criminal?
You mean
felony and murder.
Okay, well, felony is a type of crime, but it's not the only type. Felony means serious crime. There's another kind of crime. There's another kind of crime that's not as serious called misdemeanor. Right? There are misdemeanors and misdemeanor and felony. Ooh, where I can actually type it right now. Misdemeanor. There are misdemeanors and felonies, but that's not what makes something a crime. Let's say that I sell you a cup of coffee and accidentally I put some bad, I meant to put in sugar, but instead I put in salt. And actually you're allergic to salt. And you drink the coffee and you get sick. Now let's say that happened to you, Tiffany. I put some salt in the coffee, you drink it, you get sick. Now I didn't do that on purpose. It was a total accident. You're my friend, I would never hurt you, but it was an accident and it happened. Is that a crime?
No, because usually people are made of salts And nobody
Oh, it's not
usually-
about, it has nothing to do with that. It has nothing
Yeah,
to do with
it's
salt.
uncommon to know this.
It
So-
wasn't premeditation.
It wasn't planned.
Yeah, plain.
So now, if I know, Tiffany, that you're allergic to peanuts, and I know they could kill you, and I make you coffee and I put in some peanut butter and give it to you, is that a crime?
Definitely.
Yes, definitely. So something that makes a wrong act into a crime is when you do it on purpose. If I'm riding my bicycle on the street and I accidentally hit you, well, that's probably not a crime. It's negligence. I was careless. I'm not going to go to jail for that. If I'm riding my bicycle on the street and on purpose I ride into you, that's a crime. So the thing that makes a wrong act into a crime is doing it on purpose. Now, there is something else that can make it into a crime, which is how serious it is. You know, if I do something accidentally, I accidentally put peanut butter into coffee and it kills 10 people, I might be going to prison anyway. You know, this is the case with if somebody drives when they are drunk, right? If I'm driving and I'm drunk, I didn't intend to kill anybody. But if you did, it's not murder because you didn't intend to kill anybody. It's not murder, but it is homicide. And you will go to prison because the level of the wrong is very, very serious. So there are two things that turns negligence into a crime: doing it on purpose, or if the results were very, very terrible. Aside from that, negligence is not a crime. It's just an accident. And it's an accident that is between two people. How could an agent, because we're talking about agency now, how could an agent be involved in negligence? Can anybody think of a way an agent could be involved? Yeah, Florian?
If by vicarious liability, if he
Okay,
made an act of negligence during the course of work.
so that's one possibility, that Tiffany is my agent and she goes out and hurts Isaac, and then maybe Isaac could sue me because Tiffany is my employee, she's my agent. That's possible. Certainly, if I have a big company and I'm the CEO and Tiffany is my senior vice president. So you're my employee, but you're also an agent. And then you go out and you make some contract with Isaac and you break the contract. Isaac could sue me. Now there's three of us here, but that's a three-person situation where you were careless and now I will get sued. That's vicarious liability. Other possibilities are we have a situation where I have planned to buy, let's say, a bicycle, and I want a very expensive bicycle, very, very expensive. And so I hire Harry, he's my agent, because I'm a very busy, rich businessman. And I hire Harry to help me find this bicycle. And Harry is going around looking for the bicycle and he is careless while he's driving and he hits Jody. And now maybe Jody could try to sue me again, sort of a vicarious liability. So where we talk about three people in torts and agency, we're talking about vicarious liability. Now, what about contracts? The second subject we learned. Well, let's say that I have a contract with Nicola to buy his house. How did I get this contract with Nicola? You know, if I want to buy a house, usually I will have a real estate agent. So let's say that Jody is my real estate agent, and Jody spends months helping me to find a good house. And finally, he finds Nicola's house. I sign a contract with Nicola to buy Nicola's house. And Jody will get a percentage of the money called a commission. Now, if I break the contract with Nicola or Nicola breaks the contract with me, Jody could sue us because he has spent months putting together this deal and now he's going to lose money. Now, that's not vicarious liability, but that is a third person, an agent. So where in contracts also, you could have a buyer and a seller and an agent. So it is possible that agent is bringing in this idea of a third person. In torts, it's a third person through vicarious liability. In contracts, it's a third person through the contract. Is that clear? Must be very clear since I don't see most of you writing anything down. You must have superhuman memories for this stuff. How unbelievably lucky I am to teach students with photographic memories. So an agency relationship is an agent and a principal. We also learned about powers of attorney. We learned the 5 things you need to create an agency relationship. So to create an agency relationship, you need the agent, you need the principal, and Ploy, can you tell me the other 3 things you need? Agent, principal, and what?
Hello, sir. Can you repeat?
To make an agency relationship, you need the agent, you need the principal, and you need 3 other things. What are the 3 other things?
I'm not sure.
Junpyo, what are the 3 other things?
I'm not sure too.
What? Isaac, what are the 3 other things? Oh, you guys.
Need a project, something to do.
Oh, now you're guessing. That's
Can
not
I
even
answer?
that's not even a good guess. Jody, yeah.
Okay.
Mutual consent, principles control, a fiduciary relationship.
Good. And we went through all of those last week. Ploy, Junpyo, and Isaac, better review that stuff. Will be on the final. So we need control, we need consent, and we need a fiduciary relationship. Okay, let's start sharing since we're getting into this now. Okay. Okay. So to create an agency relationship, control, consent, and a fiduciary relationship. We talked about these last week. Consent, you cannot be someone's agent by accident, right? There has to be an agreement that you will be the agent. Control, if I can't control what you do and how you do it, just like rules for vicarious liability, if I can't control what you do and how you do it, then you're not really my agent. And we need to have a fiduciary relationship. Florian, what does this mean? You're muted.
Fiduciary is related with the money when you do something in exchange to.
Okay,
yeah.
but fiduciary doesn't have to be money. Fiduciary just means a very high level of trust. It's usually used in banking for money, but it doesn't have to be.
Oh, okay.
So fiduciary is related to a very high level of trust, the utmost trust. Then we talked about the 5 ways to create an agency relationship. Again, something you do need to know for the final. So let's just make sure we understand this. Jody, for express, I said I wanted 2 words. I wanted you guys to know 2 words. What are the 2 words for express?
I mandate you.
No. Nicola, can you tell me the 2 words?
I know, but I don't have my notes here. But I definitely write it down, but I totally forget.
You
Clear
represent me.
and direct.
Ah.
Clear.
Okay, an express agreement is clear and direct. Harry, what does that mean? Clear and direct.
It means that like the agreement is stated. It's not like implied is not clear. Like it doesn't have to be stated, but you know it's there. But this one is like you tell them what to do and how to do it. Is that right?
Okay, so close. So implied agreement is clear, but it's not direct.
Right. Yeah.
So we have these two ideas, clear and direct. Clear is you know clearly what you're supposed to do. So with express and implied, you know clearly what you're supposed to do. Direct means I told you you're my agent. I said the words. Direct means to say the words. So if I said, hey, I'm leaving China for a while due to coronavirus, I'll be in America, and I'd like you to handle my language teaching business. I'd like you to be my agent while I'm gone. That's clear and direct. I've said the words, I want you to be my agent. That's direct. And it's clear. You understand what I want you to do. I want you to continue getting students, or I want you to be in charge of the teachers and make sure the classes are all good. I want you to conduct the student satisfaction surveys. Now, if it's implied, it's clear what I want you to do. And I say, hey, Harry, I'm leaving China for a while. I'd like you to help me run my language school. And you say, okay. Are you my agent? Sure, because you know what I want you to do, but I never said the words. Now, parent agreement is not clear or direct. It is apparent. So apparent means it appears to be. It appears. What does this mean? Can someone explain apparent to me? We learned this last week.
It's like from an outside, it has all of the feature of an offer from an outside point of view.
And we're not talking about offer. We're talking about agency.
Sorry, from an agent. It's like the subject, the time, and the location.
It sounds like you're talking about offers or contracts. We're not talking about contracts anymore. We're talking about agency. So what is an agent? What does it mean to have an apparent agent? Jody, can you tell me what this means?
No, sorry, sir.
No? So we did learn this last week. We are getting to the point in the class that, I mean, like a lot of people aren't here today, and it looks like you guys didn't even review your notes. I will say, because we're at week 12 now, we're getting closer to the final. I strongly recommend you look at your notes. I mean, I'll have to work with this next semester for Zoom, but it seems like you guys aren't really taking notes. So that's a little concerning. But apparent means it appears that you're an agent. And now let's say that I have a company that is in charge of actors. And Nicola runs a TV program. Okay, Nicola, you're the director and the CEO of a TV company, a private TV company that makes shows. And I have this business where I have a talent agency. And one day, Harry comes to your office. Harry is wearing a uniform that says David's Talent Agency on it. And he has paper that says David's Talent Agency. And he has a card that says David's Talent Agency, Harry, agent. And Harry convinces you, Nicola, to hire an actor named Florian. Now you call me the next day, or I see you at lunch and you say, hey, David, I hired your actor. And I say, what are you talking about? Harry doesn't work for me. Florian doesn't work for me. Now here's the question, Jody. Did Nicola believe that Harry was my agent?
Mm, no, can be no.
Well, then why did Nicola hire Florian?
Oh, if he hires Florian, that he believes that Harry is your agent, right?
Why would he believe Harry is my agent?
Because the shirt, the
And
clothes. Only that I don't know.
Jody, you got to listen. The shirt and the letter and the name card. I mean, I just said this example like 10 seconds ago. So there are lots of reasons why Nicola would believe Harry. Now, is Harry my agent? No, he's not. He's not my agent. But it appears to Nicola that he is. And in this, because it appears to Nicola, and Nicola is innocent, now Harry is my agent for this transaction. Even though it seems unfair to me, we have to be unfair to someone. Who should we be unfair to, me or Nicola? Well, Nicola is really the victim here, not me. So the law will protect Nicola and will say, yes, Harry is my agent because that's what it appears to be. I am estopped, right? We learned about estoppel before. It's like an injunction. So I have an injunction. I cannot say Harry is not my agent. In this one transaction, I am enjoined. I get that number 3 is a little confusing. It's the most confusing of them. How about ratification? This means to agree after. So what does that mean? Junpyo, can you give me an example? What does it mean to agree after?
I think I need some time to think of an example.
Okay, I'll give you 3 days. Isaac, what does it mean to say agree after?
It's when someone goes out and does something on behalf of the principal and then he accepts.
Good. That's a very good explanation. So somebody goes off and they do something on behalf of the principal, and then the principal agrees. Now that person has become the agent. Even though the principal didn't ask this person to go out and do this business, doesn't matter. Once you agree to it, then we look back in time and we say, oh, back in time, he was your agent or she. And finally, necessity. Sometimes it's necessary to become an agent. And that we said is if you need to protect the principal's property and you have some control over it, but the key idea is it's an emergency and you tried to contact the principal, but you couldn't. As long as it's an emergency and you tried to contact the principal, but you couldn't, now you can act on behalf of the principal. And we looked at those last week. So express, direct, and clear. Those are the 2 words I want. Direct means you said the words, you are my agent. Clear means the person understands. Implied is clear, the person understands, but it's not direct. So I said, please help me with my business. Or, hey, can you help me find some new customers? It's clear I want you to be my agent. I want you to help me find new customers, but I never said you're my agent, but it's clear. Apparent is this idea that you appear, the third party believes that an agent has the authority to act. So it's all about this idea of appearance or belief. And we looked at a case from that Hydra level last week, where this guy, Mr. Harden, sort of pretended he sent an unofficial response on society letterhead, and then people stopped buying a device. And the court said, Mr. Harden is an agent, even though he's not, but he acted like an agent. Tiffany, you seem a little confused. Can you explain what happened in this case in simple terms?
The parent's authority is in effect because Mr. Harding actually acted without the direct, without implied agreement. It was more like an apparent agreement, I think.
What did Mr.
That's what
Harden
it's
do?
saying. He told everyone that it's a bad product.
Okay, he told everybody that a device did not meet.
Using the stationery.
And
The
so,
society letterhead is the stationery, so it gives him authority as an agent.
okay, so because he used the
That's
company
it.
paper, it had authority. Okay, good. Then we looked at ratification, to agree after, and then we looked at necessity, where there must be an emergency and you cannot communicate with the principal, but you must try. And the principal's property and it's necessary to act or the property will be destroyed. And that is about where we got last week. We talked a little about the types of authority and the types of agency. Now, we start this week with the key ideas of duty. This is the most important part of this subject. And I say this is the most important part because the idea of duties and responsibilities is something that we're going to see a lot in the next two subjects, company law and employment law. So we've already learned a lot of basic stuff about law, a lot of things that, maybe you don't remember right now, but we learned a lot about, for example, remedies and these rules of what it means to be reasonable, foreseeability, what it means to foresee something, the but-for test, what it means to have a chain of causation. These are all very deep ideas. The difference between damages and equitable remedies, such as injunctions or specific performance, how a contract is made, how negligence works, how tests are created in law. There's a lot of things you've learned. Now we get into another really big thing that we're going to see in some of these, company law, employment law, agency law. These are newer. Contracts and criminal wrongs, those go back thousands of years. But something like company law or employment law, those only go back a few hundred years. And so now we're getting to some newer ideas of law. And one of these is this idea of duties, responsibilities. So the main duty of an agent is to carry out the agreement. That's it. That's the agent's main responsibility. But agents have a lot more than that. And we do need to understand these duties. I will test you on this in the final, and they're very similar to the duties that an employee has and a director of a company has. So we're going to see them kind of again and again. To remember these, I use the term good, no, da. That's how I remember them. Good, no, da. DA. Good, no, da. But you're going to have to find some way to remember these. So let's go through these and make sure we understand these are all responsibilities that an agent has. Now, remember, in a lot of companies, the manager, the director, the vice president, these are agents. In vicarious liability, your employee might be an agent. So these responsibilities are very important in law. So first of all, good faith, also called the duty of loyalty. Everybody have these? There's another way to say good faith, and that is clean hands. Good faith means clean hands. There's no exact definition for what it means to have clean hands. Can you tell me, Ploy, in your opinion, what does it mean ethically or morally to have clean hands?
In my opinion, ethically to have like clean hands should be like you should not break the law, and you should do things straight without like bribing people and like or backstab people. That's what, for me, that's what clean hands mean.
Okay. Caitlin, for you, what does dirty hands mean?
I say dirty hands is like if you're like a politician and you like use bribery to gain power, or like you're a business owner and you do unethical things like dump your trash in areas like not like trash sites or like that kind of thing. Like you harm others and you're not there for the benefit of others. You're there only for the benefit for yourself and to gain money.
Okay, well, it's good. I mean, you even use the word benefit, but I agree with what both Ploy and Caitlin said, and those definitions are just fine. There's no special definition you need of clean hands. It's exactly what you think it is. And there isn't a definition. There's all kinds of things that could be considered good faith. You know, to behave with loyalty, with honesty, to not lie or cheat or steal or copy or take bribes or dump garbage in the ocean, any of that. It's all the duty of good faith. So it's a very, very broad duty. And this is why it's important is we can use it in a lot of ways in the law, both when we're looking to fire someone and when we are employees. We can use it with agency as well, but an agent must have clean hands, you know, must have good faith. I work at Ralph Lauren selling clothes, just a salesperson. And you're my good friend, Harry, so I let you buy clothes with my employee discount. And then sometimes I get store credits and I just, you know, give them to you. So you buy thousands of dollars of clothes, and Ralph Lauren sues me, arguing that I violated my duty of loyalty, that I had dirty hands. And I say, come on, I'm just a salesperson. I'm such a low-level employee that I really didn't break any duties to the company. Did I?
Yeah, I think so.
You did.
Because you have a loyalty towards the company.
How did I break a duty?
You gave outside benefits. You gave gifts.
Okay. Are my hands dirty?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world, but this person used their employee discount at Polo Ralph Lauren and credits, and they gave discounted clothing to his friend. That's not the purpose of the employee discount. Those aren't employees. The purpose of an employee discount is for employees to get a discount. Could I buy clothes and give them to my friends? Sure, but I couldn't give my discount to someone. And this is the duty of loyalty, clean hands. So the next duty that an agent has is no outside benefits. And another way to say this is no gifts. No gifts. Of course, in China, we do have to be a little bit flexible. We do understand that guanxi and giving gifts is a very, very normal part of Chinese business. But we are right now learning Western common law. And in Western common law, there's a no gift rule. So what does this mean by no gift? Well, obviously, if it's something like my example, where you buy someone a car, you can't keep the car. Now, what if I'm working for a company and Caitlin is my customer, and Caitlin is a very rich customer, and she's really happy with my service. I'm a travel agent. And so I planned this very expensive trip for Caitlin and her family. And Caitlin, you're so happy that you give me a Rolex watch. Can I keep it?
Yeah.
Why?
Well,
So this is,
it's a personal gift, right? It's like to
yeah, but
show
how do I know you?
You work for me?
No, I don't work for you. I'm a travel agent. I work for Nicola. I work for Nicola's travel agency.
Oh, yeah.
Is it like a bribe?
No, it's
It-
not a bribe. It's not a bribe at all. Like Caitlin said, it's a personal gift. She really is happy with the service that I did. Why can't she give me a Rolex? She has plenty of money.
Because of your legal relationship.
Okay. But that's sort of a legal way to say it. Caitlin, why don't you think I can keep this watch?
Because it's unfair to the other agents?
Well, but why? I did a really good job. I went above and beyond. I earned that. I was there for your family 24 hours a day.
The problem is like, I don't know if this agent's type of agent is a good example, but the thing is, if she gave you a Rolex, you will never do something that will be bad for her, because she gave you a Rolex. So you have this kind of, although your relationships is just like client and company, you will never, it will become personal, something like that.
I see your point, but
Always like,
let me go back to my question before. How do I know Caitlin?
by selling package for her, like tourism
Who
package,
introduced me?
the company.
Right. The reason I know Caitlin is because my boss, Nicola, introduced me to Caitlin.
Yes.
Now, how do I know Nicola?
I hire you.
Okay, you are my boss. You hired me. And do you pay me a salary?
Yes.
And what am I supposed to do for my salary? Help the customers. So
Yes.
this goes back to something we learned in contracts, which is I have a salary. And if my salary is not good enough, I can go to my boss and say, hey, boss, I need more money. But I can't take gifts from the customers. There's lots of reasons, and many of the reasons are good ones that you said. If this customer gives me a gift, maybe I'm going to spend more time with her than with other customers who need my attention because I want a gift. Maybe if I need to tell her some bad news, I won't because I want to make sure she's happy. That could all be bad. Maybe it's unfair to the other employees who aren't getting gifts, and then everybody wants to work for Caitlin and nobody wants to work for the other customers. It's unfair to Nicola because really, this is a reflection on Nicola's travel agency. It's Nicola's travel agency that's doing a good job, not me. I work for Nicola's travel agency. The same way that he would be responsible for me through vicarious liability, he should get the benefit of me working hard. You know, this is, now, if I said to Nicola, hey, Nicola, Caitlin gave me this Rolex. Can I keep it? And Nicola says, yes, David, I approve. You can keep it. Now that's different. An agent may not receive gifts unless the principal knows and approves. If Nicola says, hey, everybody, look, David did a great job and got a Rolex. This is an example to all of you. I support you guys working hard and getting gifts. Okay, cool. But if I'm hiding it and it's a secret gift, well, then would Nicola want to know? This isn't just about me keeping the gift. This is about me not telling Nicola, my boss. Why is it important, Caitlin? Why is it important for me to tell my boss about gifts I get?
So there's no like rivalry between you and other agents in the company?
Could be. That could be true. Anybody
Yeah.
else? Any other reasons?
Can I ask, what is the difference between like the people who give a tip to the waitress, like this?
Okay, so that's not a gift. That is part of the service. You don't have to give a tip. If you choose to give a tip, it's not a gift. It's just part of the payment.
It's not that same like this one?
No, because it's not an outside benefit. It's an inside benefit. It's part of what's expected. So my job as travel agent is to get hotels and airplanes and restaurants and cars for the customers. And I do all of these things for Caitlin. That's my job. There's no expectation that I also get a gift.
Okay.
That happened outside what is expected in my job. However, in a restaurant, you're expected to get a tip. Now, if I got a gift that was outside, let's say I'm a waiter in a restaurant, and after I leave the restaurant, you come up and you give me a Rolex watch, and that's outside the restaurant. I mean, I would be, the thing is, waiters are not agents, they're employees. So if I was an employee, if I was a waiter or you were a waiter, you could accept the gift. These are the rules for agents. Remember, we said agents have a fiduciary duty, the utmost trust and confidence, very high level. Employees don't have that level. Employees could accept a gift. Okay, so no outside gifts. Now let's say one other thing. What if I want to get a customer for the travel agency and I invite Isaac to come and play golf with me? I say, come on, we'll just talk about a vacation. Now these are very expensive vacation packages. And I say, Isaac, come on, we'll play golf, we'll talk about it. Can I do that? Is that a gift? What do you think, Isaac? Is that a gift?
It could be, or just a way to make business.
So here are the rules for that, because you're right, it could be. I can take you to play golf, but I can't give you anything. I can't give you golf clubs. I can't give you golf balls. I can take you to do the activity with me because that's a place we'll talk. For the same reason, I could take you to dinner, but not a 5-star restaurant. That becomes a gift because we don't need that in order to talk business. I don't need to take you to McDonald's or KFC. We can go to a nice restaurant, but there's no need to take you to a Michelin star $3,000 restaurant because we don't need that to talk business. It's clearly gone over a line and become a gift. This is why these days it is illegal to have a conference or convention for something like pharmaceutical companies in a beautiful place like Hawaii or Rio de Janeiro or someplace, because that's what companies used to do. They would have a conference to discuss their new medicine in Hawaii, where they would give everybody airplane tickets to fly to Hawaii and put them up in a 5-star hotel for 2 weeks. And then the conference was 1 day. So what was really happening? They were giving gifts to doctors. And in return, of course, the doctors would prescribe those medicines.
So this service should be known by the principal?
Oh, absolutely. If I am an agent of Nicola, and then Isaac says, hey, David, I want to work with you to plan my vacation. Here's an airplane ticket to Hawaii. Let's meet on the beach in Maui, and I'll put you up at a 5-star hotel for 2 weeks, and we'll talk about the vacation one afternoon. That's a gift. If Isaac says, hey, David, I'd like to talk about a vacation. I'll take you to the most expensive restaurant in New York, and we can talk about it. It's a gift. Because it might influence me. You know, what if then at dinner, Isaac says, so can I get a discount? And now I feel a lot of pressure because he's giving me a gift of this expensive dinner. And so I say, well, okay, Isaac, for you, we'll give you a discount. This is very similar in contracts to the idea of undue influence. It's not duress. He's not forcing me, but he is pressuring me. And if my boss, Nicola, agrees and I can go on the vacation, okay. Or go to the restaurant, okay. But I need to tell the boss. Next, no competition. So competition means you cannot compete with your principal within the scope of the agency business. So let's say that I am selling clothes. Okay, I work for Jody's company. Jody, I'm your agent. And Jody, you have a factory. Your family has a factory that makes clothes. And I go around China and I make contracts to sell your clothes. So I make one contract with Tiffany. Tiffany, you have a store in Shanghai. And I make a contract with Tiffany to sell Jody's clothes. And Tiffany, you want to buy 1,000 shirts. So here's what I do. I say, Tiffany, I'll sell you 500 of Jody's shirts. And I'll sell you 500 of David's shirts. I also make very good shirts. Do you think Jody would want to know that I'm doing that?
Sure, because
No,
you're
no.
selling my clothes.
Okay, Tiffany, what are you going to say?
That's a there's a liability to tell the truth here, because that would be creating like wholesale issue or
So it creates an
resale.
issue. Jody, would you rather that I sell 1,000 of your shirts to Tiffany or 500?
1,000.
Yeah. How, Jody, why do I even have a relationship with Tiffany? It's because of you, right?
Yes.
And I'm using this relationship to sell my shirts. Are you happy about that, Jody?
Yeah.
You're happy that I'm stealing your business?
For that.
You're a
But
true
you're
friend.
selling us for 1,000, right? That is a good one.
No. She wants 1,000. I'm selling her 500 of yours and secretly selling her 500 of mine. Are you cool with that?
But you are my agent. I mean, like legal one.
I'm your agent, and she wants 1,000 shirts.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to sell her 500 of yours, and then secretly sell her the other 500 of mine.
Yes.
Is that good for you?
No, that's not good.
No, it's not good for you. You want me to sell her 1,000 of your shirts. She is happy to buy 1,000 of your shirts, but I am secretly stealing your business. Now, if I go to Jody and I say, hey man, is it okay if I sell Tiffany some of my shirts? And Jody says, okay, cool. Just like the gifts, if you tell the principal and the principal says, okay, no problem. But you can't hide it from the principal. Dirty hands, right? You cannot compete with the principal to sell your own stuff. No conflict of interest. So a conflict of interest is where I have two principals. Now, let's say in my example, I am Jody's agent. Jody has a factory that makes clothes, and I am Jody's agent. And I sell shirts to all of these stores around Shanghai, okay? And I am also Isaac's agent. Isaac, you have a family factory that also makes shirts. I work for Jody selling shirts, and I work for Isaac selling shirts, and it's the same kind of shirt. Jody, do you want to know that I also work for Isaac?
Sure.
Why? It's my business, it's my life. Why do I need to tell you?
Because you are my agent, like worker.
Okay, fine. Isaac, do you care that I'm working for Jody? Isaac, does it hurt you or help you?
I think neither.
Really? Because when I go to Tiffany's store, I'm going to try to sell some of Jody's shirts, not yours.
Also, then it hurts me and my business.
Yeah, it hurts you because you want me to represent you. You want me to go to all these stores and sell your product, but I'm not. I'm going to all these stores and selling someone else's product. You're getting less business. You're making less money. I have a conflict, right? I represent Jody, but I don't. I represent you, but I don't. I represent Jody, but I don't. I represent, that's a conflict of interest. An agent can only have one master. You can't have two principals because then you're not really working for this person. So the point of the last rule is you can't represent the principal and yourself. Now, with this rule, you can't represent two different principals. Next, no secret dealing. Secret dealing is when an agent tries to sell something that they have to become a party to the transaction. So let's say that I work for Jody. I'm selling these shirts, and I go to Tiffany's store in Shanghai, and I say, Tiffany, I will sell you 1,000 of Jody's shirts. That's great. Jody's happy, Tiffany's happy. And Jody, of course, your factory needs cloth to make the shirts, right? And I tell you, hey, Jody, I have a really good seller of cloth. Actually, it's my father. But I do not tell this to Jody. Is it important to tell this to Jody? What do you think, Harry?
Sorry, I was writing stuff down. Can you repeat that?
Okay, so I am Jody's agent. I sell shirts. And Jody needs to buy cloth for the shirts. With me so far?
Yeah.
My father sells cloth. So I make a contract between my father and Jody, but I never tell Jody it's my father. Is that cool?
No.
Why not? What does it matter?
As long as you're agreeing, it's okay, right? Yeah, you agree.
Harry, what do you think?
I think the master has a right to know everything that they should want to know, or they should.
I agree, because this is clean hands, but how could it negatively affect Jody, my principal, my master? How could it negatively affect him to not know that my father supplies the cloth?
Maybe it doesn't negatively affect him then.
No, I think it does, though. It could.
I think the problem, it's like maybe your father clothes, it's not the better quality. It's just because it's your father. You want to help your father. It's for your interest, you know?
Yeah.
That's the
this is the same thing as all the other examples. I have a master named Jody, and I'm supposed to focus on him. But I'm not if it's my father. Now again, I have like two masters. It's not that my father's my master, so it's not the same as this. You know, this is, you really have two masters. In this, it's not that I have two masters, it's I have one master and one secret. And if my father has bad quality cloth, am I going to tell that to Jody? No. What if the quality of my father's cloth goes down? Am I going to tell Jody, stop using my father's cloth? No, probably not. But if it's, you know, Harry's cloth, and Harry is just, I don't know, he's just a person who sells cloth, and the quality goes down, I'll of course tell Jody, my master, don't use that cloth, it's low quality. So having these secrets can really be a problem for the principal.
Question.
Yeah.
But what if your dad has actual good quality cloth and your master, you know, approves it? But you
Then it's
still,
cool. Then it's totally fine.
But still, you don't tell that it's your father. That's okay.
No. It's
That's
not okay, because even though my father's cloth is great quality and low price, and it's a good choice, what happens in the future if the quality goes down or the price goes up? Am I going to choose my master or my father? This puts me in a terrible position and puts my boss in a terrible position. We don't want an agent to have to make these kind of ethical decisions. I have a master named Jody. That's it. I represent him. Now, if I told Jody, hey, my father sells cloth and here it's good quality, here's the price, will you use him? And Jody says, yes, cool. Then there's no problem. So, I mean, we're definitely seeing a trend here, right? You want to tell your master. You want to tell your principal as much as possible. Now, there's sometimes I don't want to tell something. So what if, for example, I work for Jody and Jody is my principal. I sell these shirts and Jody actually gets the plastic for the buttons from a special company in Indonesia that has these amazing, beautiful buttons. And Nicola is my friend. Can I tell Nicola about, Nicola also makes shirts. Can I tell him about where Jody gets his buttons? Jody, would you want me to do that?
No,
No, why not?
because it's my secret.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's your secret. It's confidential information. I learned this because of you. I make money selling Jody's shirts and we make good money. One of the reasons is they have cool buttons and everybody likes it. So I make money. I can't take that information and go give it to someone else. It's Jody's, it belongs to him. Now, again, what if I said, hey, Jody, can I tell Nicola? And Jody says, yes. Okay, cool. As long as you're honest with your principal. Now, let's say I work for Jody, same example, and I am your #1 salesman in Shanghai. And Jody, your shirts are called Good Person Shirts. That's the name of the brand. Good Person Shirts. And your whole marketing is about being a good person. And tonight, I go to a bar and I get super drunk and I start a big fight with Florian. And then we get in a big fight and I get drunk, I get on a table, I take off my shirt and I start dancing. I say, buy Jody's shirts. Is that okay? Florian, is that okay?
No, because you tarnish his name or reputation.
Okay, good. I'm tarnishing his name or reputation. It doesn't matter that it wasn't during work time. Makes no difference. This is called appropriate behavior. So this is the A, like good, no, 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 da. This is the ah. Appropriate behavior. Now, some jobs, it doesn't matter. Let's say that I work at Walmart. I am one of thousands of employees who work at Walmart. Nobody knows who I am. I'm just a person who works at Walmart. And tonight I go to a bar and I get drunk and Florian and I get into a fight. Does that affect Walmart's image? Maybe. Is it going to affect their sales, their global sales? No. And so it doesn't matter. You do not have a duty of appropriate behavior unless you are an agent of the company. Employees usually don't have this. Now, some do. So, for example, there was a case where a flight attendant, so a stewardess, a flight attendant, a group of flight attendants went to a bar and they got drunk and they stood on the table and they started taking off their clothes and they were fired. Because some employees do have a duty of appropriate behavior. For example, as a teacher, I do. If I go out to a bar in Shanghai at night and start a fight with people, that does reflect on Donghua University. It's a small university, or CIP. It's a small university, and it does reflect on them.
So like you cannot take a name of the company when you go outside, right?
For me, because CIP is so small, I do and I'm a teacher and teachers have a very high level of duty of care. I do represent the university. And so I could be fired if I behaved inappropriately. But most jobs don't have that. There are other duties that agents have, such as obedience. You must obey the master unless it's illegal or unethical. If Jody says, David, you're my agent, go over and punch Isaac, I don't have to. If Jody says, David, you're my agent, go over and insult Isaac, I don't have to. I don't have to do anything that's illegal or unethical. But if Jody says, David, today go to Tiffany's store and try to sell shirts there. Don't go to Isaac's store. Okay. That's not illegal. That's not unethical. That's just my instructions. Reasonable care. We've learned this word again and again. And then also the duty of disclosure. This is the opposite of confidentiality. So confidentiality says I need to keep the secrets. Disclosure means I need to tell the agent, I need to tell the principal anything that the principal will want to know about the business. So if Jody says, hey, David, you went to Tiffany's store today. Were there many customers there? Of course I need to tell him because this affects his business. But if he says, hey, David, you went to Tiffany's today. Was she wearing makeup? That has nothing to do with the business. You know, was her boyfriend there? I don't need to tell him that. You know, I don't need to tell him anything that's not related to business. Now, these are all of the responsibilities that an agent has. What happens if the agent breaks one of these? So if the agent does take a gift, or does have two masters, or does secretly let their father be part of it, you know, if the agent acts inappropriately, what can the principal do? And it's pretty simple. The principal can get damages. So if the principal lost money, so for example, when I said, imagine that I go to Tiffany's store and I sell 500 of Jody's shirts and 500 of my shirts. Well, if Jody finds out that I broke my responsibility, he can get that money that I earned because those are profits wrongfully made. I made a profit by selling shirts to Tiffany, and I shouldn't have made that profit. That was wrongfully made. So he can get that money back from me. If for any reason he lost money, like I acted inappropriately and we lost customers, or I got him to use my father's cloth company and actually the quality was really low, and then all of the customers returned the shirts because the quality was so low. He could get back. That's when he didn't lose. He didn't make profits. He lost money. So he can get back any money he lost. He can get back any money that I made, that the agent made. So here's lost versus made. And finally, he can rescind the contract. We learned about the word rescission, to take away a contract. So if there was a transaction that I made with Tiffany and I made it in violation of one of my duties, then he can take away the contract. Now, these are all the duties that an agent has. There's lots and lots of duties. What duties does Jody have to me? We just talked about all the duties that I have to Jody. What about the duties that Jody has? There are two. One, Jody needs to pay me. Pay your agent. That's called the duty to reimburse. Okay, he has to pay me. If we didn't choose a price, then he has to pay me a reasonable price. If he refuses to listen, we have to go to court and the judge will decide a reasonable price. Second, he has to cooperate, which means he has to disclose all information relevant to the transaction. Let's say that for the last 5 years, I've worked for Jody and the cloth always comes from Indonesia and it's good quality. And I go to Tiffany, you've been a customer of Jody for many years. Now, this month, the quality of the cloth dropped and Jody knows that. He started buying the cloth from somewhere else, you know, from Thailand, wherever, it doesn't matter. And the quality is much lower and it's cheaper. Does Jody need to tell me that? Tiffany, does
Yes,
Jody need to
definitely.
tell me? Why? Isn't this his business?
Yeah, it's part of the transaction. No, it's not. But it's part of the transaction. It's part of the materials involved.
And you want to know if the quality went down, right? You know, if I don't tell you, you're going to say, David, you lied to me. It's going to cause all kinds of problems. So Jody needs to tell me things like that. Okay, that's everything about duties, and that's a lot of stuff. Now, how do you end an agency relationship called termination? How do we end this agency relationship? Everybody got this? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. How do we end an agency relationship? So there's a couple different ways. One is term agreement. And that means we had a contract and the contract ended. So let's say I'm Jody's agent for 1 year. We have a 1-year contract. After 1 year, that's it. It's terminated, just naturally. So most agency relationships end by term agreement. It just means they have a contract, it ends naturally. Number 2 is achieving a purpose. Maybe Jody and I have a contract that I am his agent to sell 5,000 shirts. That's it. Okay, when the purpose is achieved, we sell 5,000 shirts. That's it. This is very common to have an agent for one vacation. You're not my agent forever, or an agent for one house. I'm buying a house and Aruni is my real estate agent. She's not my real estate agent for everything for the rest of my life. I'm buying one house. She's not my real estate agent for 3 years. She's my real estate agent for one house. So that's also very common. Inability to perform. This is not common. So if the agent dies or the principal dies, my daughter does not have the responsibility. You know, if Aruni is my agent to help me find a house and then Aruni gets sick and she's in the hospital, does your mother have to help me find a house? No, of course not. Or your father, or your daughter, or your brother. This is your responsibility. If the principal or the agent can't do it, then the agency relationship is over.
So is an agent has more power than employee?
Not necessarily. Lots of times the employee is an agent. They're not separate. If you're the manager of my company, you probably are an agent. If you're a vice president, you're definitely an agent.
Okay.
You know, what does it mean to be an agent? It just means you can make contracts for my company. So you have the power to bind me, is how we would say it. You can make contracts for my company. So lots of employees can do that. The CEO is not the only person who can make a contract. Now, if I am Jody's agent and Jody and I both agree, I say, hey man, I'm not happy. And you say, yeah, I'm not happy either. Let's end this. Okay, no problem. Agency at will means that we never talked about ending. We never said 1 year. We never said 5,000 shirts. We never said anything. What happens if we never say anything? It means I can leave at any time and Jody can fire me at any time. There's no requirement of 1 week or 1 month or anything like that. And then finally, wrongful termination is breach. I can just quit. I just quit today. So let's say I have a 1-year contract to be Jody's agent to sell shirts. And Aruni, I have a 1-year contract to be Jody's agent. And today I say, hey man, I've decided to work for Aruni instead. I'm leaving right now. What can Jody do?
Sue?
He can sue you.
That's it. He can sue me, right? Because Jody and I had a contract and I broke it. That's it. You can always break a contract, but you'll be sued. Now, let's say that I make a contract to sell shirts to Tiffany. Okay, I am Jody's agent and I make a contract to sell shirts to Tiffany. And the shirts, it turns out, are very bad quality. So Tiffany, you call me and you say, David, the customers all return the shirts. I spent $10,000 on these shirts and they're garbage. I want my money back. Can you, Tiffany, sue me?
Yes.
Why? I didn't make
quality-
those shirts.
But quality is a mutual agreement, maybe?
So This is a very important question. As an agent, you do not want to get sued. And the difference as to whether you can sue the agent has to do with what's called disclosure. Disclosure is the agent's best protection. So what disclosure means is how much does the third party know about the principal? And now let's say that one day I come to Tiffany's store and I say, hi, Tiffany, my name is David. I represent Jody's Shirts. Here is the card for Jody's Shirts. This is a company founded by Jody. It's in Indonesia, and he makes these shirts in his family's business. Here's the address, the phone number, everything. And then Tiffany orders 10,000 shirts. Now, at that point, Tiffany, do you know that I, David, don't make those shirts personally?
No, I don't.
You think I make them in my family factory?
Right? No, I don't think so either.
I told you who makes the shirts, right?
Right.
And I told you where they're from. And I gave you his name card. I told you all the information. So if there's a problem with the shirts, whose fault do you think it is?
Still yours?
Why? I didn't make those shirts.
I don't know.
Jody just gave me a closed box of shirts. I delivered them to you. I mean, all I did, Tiffany, is I went to your store, you and I signed a contract for 1,000 shirts, and then later on in the month, I delivered them. I had nothing to do with it. And because I had nothing to do with it, I am not responsible and you can't sue me. You can sue Jody because I am the agent. I told Tiffany, that's the third party, both the existence and the identity of the principal. I told Tiffany there is a principal. His name is Jody. Here's his address and phone number and everything. And because I told you these two things, the existence and the identity, I am protected. You can't sue me. Because you know that I didn't make these shirts. You know that Jody made the shirts. You can sue Jody if they're bad. Aruni, does that make sense? Now, Aruni, what happens though if I go into Tiffany's store and I just sell the shirts and I don't tell her who made them? Aruni?
If you go to Tiffany's store and what, can you repeat the question?
I go to Tiffany's store and I say, hey, do you like these shirts? And she said, yes. And I say, you want to buy 1,000? And she says, yes. And I say, cool, let's write a contract. But I never tell her they're Jody's shirts. Now, if the shirts are low quality, can she sue me, David?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. In that case, I didn't tell Tiffany that there was an agent. I didn't tell her there's a principal. I didn't tell her who the principal is, nothing. And in this case, then I and the principal, me and Jody, are jointly and severally liable. And we learned this word when we studied contracts, or this term, joint and several liability. Anybody remember what that means? What's joint and several liability?
Like 50-50, like half?
Not 50-50.
Oh, it's like
when you sue someone and the court will join all of the people responsible.
Okay, sort of. The example I gave when we talked about contracts was the example of an apartment's rent.
Yeah, the landlord case.
Right. So if Tiffany, your damages are $10,000, and I never told you that there was a principal. You don't know who you didn't know. You sue me. How much money do you want?
10,000.
And if I can't pay and you sue Jody, how much money do you want?
10,000.
That's it. Doesn't matter who pays, you get 10,000. I'm responsible for 10,000. Jody's responsible for 10,000, but you're not going to get more. You're not going to get more than 10,000. You won't get 20, but it doesn't matter who you get it from. You're getting the full amount from anybody. Now, what happens if I told Tiffany there is a principal? I say, hey, Tiffany, do you like these shirts? She says, yes. I say, do you want to buy 1,000 of them? She says, yes. And I say, cool. Well, just so you know, I'm an agent, but the principal, he wants to remain quiet. And so we sign a contract. Now, can you sue me?
No.
You can. Because how can you sue him? You don't know who he is.
Oh.
That is why Jody didn't want me to tell anybody who he is, because he didn't want to be sued. And a lot of principals do this. They say, you can tell somebody that I'm a principal, but you can't tell them who I am. And that's not fair. What's the big secret? So the only way for an agent to protect themselves is to tell the third party who the principal is and that there's a principal. The existence and the identity. Sorry?
What do you mean by who I am?
Your name, your address, your phone number, your email address. All the information we would need to sue you. Right? If Tiffany says, can I have his business identification number? Yes. If she says, can I have a copy of his license to do business? Yes. What's the secret? Anything you're trying to hide would make it hard to sue you. Well, that's not fair. And then I can be sued. Okay, we're almost at an hour and a half. There's one more kind of big thing to do, but it's pretty easy. So let's take a 10-minute break and then we'll come back. Okay, we're now recording. So the last thing to talk about in the subject of agency is vicarious liability, also known as the principal's liability for torts. So if I commit a tort as Jody's agent, so I am Jody's agent, right? Jody makes these shirts and I go around Shanghai and I sell them. And now what happens if I'm on my bicycle and I'm driving or riding over to Tiffany's store to make a contract? And on the way to Tiffany's store, I hit Florian. Now this is negligence, right? I was careless when I was riding my bicycle and I hit Florian. Can Florian sue my boss, Jody? Florian, can you sue my boss? Tiffany, how can you sue my boss?
Did you hit? Who did you hit? Jody?
I hit Florian.
Oh, you hit Florian. Okay, yeah. Probably would sue the principal.
Okay. And Isaac, how can the victim, Florian, sue the principal, Jody?
I got lost a little bit in the story. So you were riding the bicycle and then you hit Florian.
Yes.
While you were gonna get something for Jody, or?
Yes.
Okay.
I work for Jody.
That would blame it on the principal because you're doing something for him, I guess. You're gonna get something.
Are you an employee of Jody?
Right,
and that's the key question, right? Am I an employee of Jody? And then the other question, am I in the course of employment, right? We learned this stuff before, but it comes back now. Because just because I'm Jody's agent doesn't mean I'm definitely an employee. And just because I am an employee doesn't mean I'm definitely an agent, right? If let's say I'm an agent of Jody's and I sell shirts. Now, Jody lives in You know, Jody, where do you live?
Bali.
Okay. Jody lives in Bali, and this company that makes the shirts is in Bali, and I'm in Shanghai. And I go to different stores. I go to Caitlin's store, Harry's store, Isaac's store. I go to all these stores to sell Jody's shirts. Does Jody tell me what time to go to these stores? No. You know, does he tell me, David, on Monday, go to Isaac's store, on Tuesday, go to Caitlin's store? No. I go to these stores whenever I want. I wear whatever clothes I want. I act however I want. And then when I make a contract, I get 10%. Am I Jody's agent? Sure. Because I make contracts for Jody in Shanghai and I get 10% of the money. I'm his agent. But am I his employee? Isaac, am I his employee?
I don't think you are his employee.
What do you think, Isaac?
Sure, sir.
Okay, so Florian, why don't you think I'm the employee?
Because you say you can go whenever you want and you can bring your own shirt over there.
So this is the key question, right? We know that I'm an agent. There's no question I'm an agent because maybe even I have an agency agreement with him. But either way, I am selling Jody's shirts. I get money if I sell them. I am his agent. But am I his employee? We really need to know that because we don't know right now if there's vicarious liability. So how do we find out if somebody is an employee? And we always start the same way. Number one, with the definition. So do I get paid?
Yes.
Yeah, I get paid. Now, can Jody control what I do and how I do it? Right? He has to control these two things. Can Jody control what I do, which is I sell shirts? Can he tell me what I'm allowed to sell?
Yes, I think so.
He can, what if Jody's company makes shirts and pants and shoes and hats and glasses? Can Jody say, David, you are allowed to sell shirts only? Sure.
Yes.
But can Jody tell me what time in the morning to get to Isaac's store, or what time to eat lunch, or what time to stop working, or what clothes to wear? Or he can't tell me any of that.
No.
So he pays me. I do perform service. He can tell me what to do, but he cannot tell me how to do it. And therefore, I am not an employee. But let's continue with this. We have these tests. The first test is the control test. And that, of course, is the what and how. And we already know that I do not pass the control test. The part and parcel test. So for Jody's business, Jody has this family factory in Bali that makes all kinds of men's clothes. Am I a very important key part of this organization? What do you think, Nicola? Am I a key part of Jody's organization?
No.
No.
Sorry.
Not really. Jody, you could hire someone else to sell the shirts in Shanghai. You don't need me. There are people you need. Maybe you need the engineer. You need the designer. There are people you need. I'm not someone you need. I'm not really part of your organization. Do I work for wage? Yes, I get paid. Control test? No. Do I have a contract of employment? No. I have a contract of agency. So already it doesn't look like I'm an employee. Levy-Chung test. Yeah.
But you said like you work for commission, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it the same of wage? Wage is not means like monthly salary.
No, it's any kind of remuneration.
Oh, okay.
Any kind of compensation.
Thank you.
Good question. Do I provide my own equipment? So if I need to go to Tiffany's and I'm riding my bicycle, did Jody buy me that bicycle? No. Right? I provide my own equipment. Did I hire people? Can I hire someone to help me? If I want to make a contract with Tiffany and I'm super busy today, can I hire Nicola to go to Tiffany's and sign the contract? Probably. Jody doesn't care. He just wants the contract signed. You know, if I'm an agent, can I hire people? Maybe. Do I have any financial risk or reward for performing a service well? So if I sell more, will I get more money? Yes. If I sell less, will I get less money? Yes. I am not an employee. These are all for independent contractors. So I am definitely an independent contractor, right? I am in business on my own. I'm making money for me. That's the reason I'm doing this. So we know, based on all of these tests, that I am an independent contractor. Then we talked about course of employment, and we said before that there were 4 things to understand. 1, was I doing what I was authorized to do? So I was riding a bicycle to Tiffany's. Was I authorized to go to the customer to make a contract? Yes. Now, maybe I did this negligently. Doesn't matter. I was authorized to do it. Was I trying to help the employer? Yes. And if I was doing something entirely of my own, that is a frolic of his own. And we learned all of this stuff before. So, yeah. Question? No? Okay.
If your company hire another company to do like the security, you know, like for example, those guards on the front door. Imagine they are using like uniforms from, I don't know, something security for, and then they hit someone, you know, a guy want to enter to the university, they say no, you cannot, and then hit them. Can the person who suffered the hitting, can they sue Don Juan?
Well, I mean, we have 2 questions. Number 1, is that security guard an employee? And number 2, did it happen in the course of employment? So we're on this slide, so let's say course of employment first. Was the security guard authorized to maybe stop people from coming in?
Yes.
And did they do this in a careless way? Yeah, they were totally careless. Doesn't matter. They were authorized to do this. So course of employment is check. We have course of employment. Now the question of, is this person an employee? Well, we go back through the definition, the control test, the part and parcel test, the ready mixed concrete test, the Levy-Chung test. We just go through the tests. Probably they are an employee, but it depends. You know, let's say that this is somebody who was just hired for 1 day. They are, let's say, for example, this is a private security guard.
Yeah, private. Okay.
Just hired for 1 day, not from a security company. They're just like on their own. You know, it's like today we're afraid that, I don't know, something, you know, Xi Jinping is coming to town. And so they hired new people and to be security. And this person is just coming for 1 day. They have, the university does not control what they wear or what time they come. Their job is just to be security, just for this 1 day for this special thing. Then could you sue CIP? No, because CIP has no control over this person. They don't really have a contract of employment with CIP. In this case, we would expect this bodyguard to bring their own weapons or equipment, or they're not going to use this uniform that they wear is probably not CIP's uniform. You know, we would expect that if they wanted to bring an assistant, they could. Like they're totally, they work for themselves. And in that case, if this person punched you, you couldn't sue CIP because CIP had no control over them. Okay, and that's really all there is to say about vicarious liability, and that ends agency law. There's a couple of other slides, you can look at those on your own, but that ends agency law. So let's move on to our next subject. We're just making okay time. I also, by the way, this week, I'll put up an agency practice question so you can take a look at that because it's kind of an important big subject. And we'll talk about that at the beginning of next class. I know I said I would do that last class, but we didn't finish, so I waited. Okay, here we are. Okay, company law. So we start company law with a sort of a jurisprudence, kind of legal philosophy question. And the question is, what does it mean to be a person? Let me ask Ploy. Ploy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Ploy, are you a person?
Yes, of course.
Of course, I don't know, I can't see you. What does it mean? What does that mean to say you're a person?
In which way would you mean, like to describe a person?
I don't know. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to you?
A living? A human?
You're a human? Okay.
And like,
all right.
Yeah.
Go from there. Caitlin, you there?
Yeah.
Caitlin, you're a human too. What does it mean to be a human?
Oh, wow. Maybe to act. Oh, wow.
Oh, this is an important question. All right, I'm going to
Yeah,
put you guys.
really,
I'm going to put you
I'm
guys
baffled.
into breakout groups, and I want you. I'll give you a few minutes, and then I want you to explain to me what it means to be a human, like a person. You are people. What does it mean to be a person? Yeah, question?
It's like a physical person, not a moral person.
Whatever you think it means.
Huh?
Whatever you think it means.
A human.
Deep, totally deep.
A
For the
person,
soul.
a human, yeah. What
He's
does
a
that mean
physical
to
person.
you?
What is a person?
Not a physical person, not a moral person who, okay, whatever.
Whatever it means to you.
This is so crazy.
Hey.
So I will go for the philosophic aspect of the definition, but I will go to the science. So, and the legal definition. So is it like a physical person, not a moral person? Yeah. From the species of human on Earth, we can act and think. That's it.
Okay. Tiffany, we can act and think.
Yeah, but there's
Can't
like
do-
this test that tests how human and AI is.
Mhm.
So I think it should be based on how human a person can be. Because let's say there's a disabled person, a human being, but they cannot technically be liable for so many things, so much as so that they are a regular person. They should be allowed the handicap. So I don't think you can really measure it as a person sometimes. And then there are robots who are more like people than people.
Florian, is a 1-week-old baby a person?
No, that's why. It's not just a
Florian, you're muted.
medical condition. It's
Okay.
Yes. You say, is a baby a human? I say yes.
1 week.
What do you
But-
mean 1 week?
A 1-week-old.
Oh, a human being, yes. A legal person as a majority is different from different states.
But it
you
can't,
consider as a person.
but it can't act or think.
Okay, tomorrow someone kill a baby, he won't think he will kill a non-human. They will say he killed one person, a baby. One
Okay.
person were killed, a baby. Yes.
Okay. So it's just a human is a kind of animal.
Human is a kind of animal? Sir, is it your question?
Yeah.
A human is a kind of...
Just like there are dogs and there are cats and there are elephants and
A
there are
human
humans.
is considered as a social animal. Yeah, they say this in psychology.
Okay. So we're just kind of animals. The next question, I guess, is if we are humans and if you could not tell the difference between like an AI, as Tiffany said, and a human, would an AI be a person? I guess, Florian, you say no. AI like a robot, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
You'd say no, right? Because it's not that animal. I mean, you're using a very biological definition that a human is a kind of animal. If you're not that animal, you're not a person. So I guess the question is human the same as person?
Legally, I think there is a slight difference about responsibility.
What do you think the difference is?
About concerning about responsibility. Yeah, I think legally there is a defined line between human and animal.
Okay.
Yes.
What do you think, Tiffany? Is there a difference between human and person?
Yes, I think so. Because if we're talking about like the rights to live and the rights, the liberty that people are born with or living beings are born with, then we can argue not just for humans, and it could be animals. And what humane characteristics things can possess, that's arguable in my opinion.
Okay, I'll come back. We'll meet again soon. I want to check another room. What I want you to talk about is think of 3 rights that people have or humans have just because we're humans. Like you don't have to do anything to get these rights, you just have them.
In like, not society, but what did you say? Like you work in groups, not
Yeah,
groups,
it's like in society and community.
yeah, like a cute.
Yeah, that make us like a person. Maybe we have some good definitions here. I think Isaac, what can you say yours? I think this is Isaac's is human.
Yeah. Can he hear us?
I can hear you.
Oh, is he? Yeah, no, yeah. What I said was to have a mind, a body, and a soul. Yeah, and then
mind, body, and soul.
Right.
This is for humans.
So can like an artificial intelligence or a robot be a person if you can't tell the difference?
A person or a human?
Well, I guess you're saying human is biological, so it can't.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
When you say humans, like Carrie was saying, it's just the more scientific side of it. And then when you say person, it's maybe more, you know, it's
So
different.
there is some kind of difference between
Sociological.
human and person.
Right.
Yeah.
Human
see
is
the difference.
biological, person maybe not. What
Maybe
are some
not.
what are some rights that humans have?
Yeah, basically, we think like the humans and persons, what differ one of the other ones, like person can have rights and also have duties. It's
Okay.
something more sociological, so in that way, companies can be a person because they have rights and duties, but they cannot be human. We cannot, you know, treat them as a human.
So
Because
humans don't necessarily have rights and duties, but a person does.
Both
Well, like
have.
if you have a baby that's 1 week old, it's a human, right?
Right.
But you
And also,
can't say a 1 week old baby has rights, has duties and responsibilities. It doesn't, right? It has no responsibility.
doesn't. Yes, doesn't.
But it has
But
some
have
rights.
right. Yes.
Is it a person?
Yes.
Okay.
And human.
Hey, Caitlin.
Yeah.
If someone is in the hospital and they are brain dead, so their body is functioning, but only because of machines, are they a human?
Yeah.
Are they a person?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they still have, oh gosh. Now that what the definition I said doesn't make any sense anymore. But I would say maybe they're people because they still, you know, they matter to people. Like, you know, they have value on this planet because of the emotional connections they have with others.
And people love dogs too.
It's different.
Dogs are people? No.
Dogs are not people. I don't think. If you want to say dogs are people, I guess you can. Let's go back to the main room and discuss whether dogs are people.
Good.
Yes, I believe dogs are people.
Okay. Aruni, you there?
Yes.
Okay. Aruni, are dogs people?
No.
Okay. Are some people dogs?
No. But
Okay.
yeah, no.
So it sounds like, I mean, I only saw two groups, but it sounds like what you guys are saying is that the idea of a human is very much a biological type of idea. It doesn't really matter if you're, young or old or good at thinking or bad at thinking, if you were just born or you're just about to die. If you are this creature that we are, you are human. It doesn't matter if you can't think. It doesn't matter if you have any kind of disability. You are human because you are a creature like us. Everybody agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, in the law, we call that a natural person. We don't use the word human. We use the word natural person. You and me, all of us, we are natural people. And we are people because we were born as people. And it really doesn't matter what kind of disability we have. Now, the idea of when life begins is not a medical idea. That's a legal idea. And the idea of when life ends is also a legal idea. In the law, life begins at quickening. All right, that's quickening is the moment when you could remove a baby and it would live outside the mother's womb. So it's not the moment of birth. And this is, I'm just talking about law. And I'm talking about law in common law countries. It's not the moment of birth. It's not the moment of conception. It's the moment where the baby could live on its own without machines outside the mother's womb. At that moment, called quickening, we would say the baby is now a person. Before that, it does not get the rights that you and I have. Now, this is obviously something that is not carved in stone. The courts can change this. And that's a very powerful thing to understand, that the courts can change when life begins. If the Supreme Court declares that life begins at conception, then it does. And a conceived baby would have legal rights. You and I have legal rights because we are people. Life ends at brain death. Okay, it does not end when the body dies. Your body may still be alive. And because we can keep someone alive with machines to breathe for you and to do dialysis, and there are lots of machines, but without brain function, the law considers life to be ended. That is a legal definition and could be changed. In addition to natural people, there is an idea called legal person. Now, you guys and me, we're natural people. We get certain rights, such as the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We have certain rights. Now, where do these rights come from is a whole separate area of the law that we talked about a little bit in our first and second week. We talked a little bit about the idea of natural law and where it comes from, but we didn't get really deep into it. But this idea of what a legal person is, could an AI, like a computer or a robot, could an AI be a legal person? It cannot be a natural person. But could it be a legal person? Well, the answer is yes. And the reason is a company is a legal person. Not could be, is. And this is really critical to understand as we begin company law. There is a person named Apple. There is a person named Microsoft. There is a person named Tesla and a person named Toyota and a person named BMW. These are people. These are extremely powerful people. These people do not have a soul, which is why we have regulations. These people can't die. Okay? Apple can't die. The CEO can die and then they get a new CEO. The vice president can die and then they get a new vice president. So what these companies are legal people who have one purpose in life. You know, what's your purpose in life? I won't even ask you because it's such an impossible to answer question. You know, Junpyo, what's your purpose in life? If you could answer that, you'd be one in a million. Most people don't know what their purpose in life is. Apple does. Caitlin, what's Apple's purpose in life?
To provide technology for the whole world.
No, it's the same purpose as BMW and the same purpose as Toyota and the same purpose as Tesla and the same purpose as every company. They all have the same purpose.
Is it their mission statement or not related?
Nope.
Okay.
It's
So
make
it's like to
profit,
supply, provide. Like,
isn't it or not?
Before a person change their name to become a legal entity?
No, you can't become a legal entity, but you could. Let me explain that in a second. First, let me answer the question. What's the purpose of Apple? To make money for its shareholders. What's the purpose of BMW? To make money for its shareholders. What's the purpose of the nicest, sweetest charity, wonderful, to make money for its shareholders? These are the purpose. Actually, charity is different. I shouldn't say that. But the purpose of any non-charitable company is to make money for their shareholders. Now, to answer Tiffany's question, can you be a legal person? Let me say, I am David Warner, and I am a natural person. Now, let's say that I open a company called David Warner Incorporated. That's not me. That's a person. My name is David Warner. I am a natural person. Then there's another person, a baby, if you will, named David Warner Incorporated. We are separate people. This is critical. I can make a contract with you and you can sue me because I'm David Warner. David Warner Incorporated, DWI, can make a contract with you and you can sue him. But you can't sue me because I'm not him and he's not me. We are different. And that's really the critical point I'm trying to get at in company law from the very beginning. A company is a person. You can sue a company. A company can sue you. The company isn't the owner. The company isn't the founder. The company isn't a natural person. Now, what if I made a clone of myself? Then there would be two David Warners. Both of me are natural people. We are both the human animal. Only one of us is a legal person. Right? I, David Warner the first, am a legal person. And he, David Warner the second, is a human with no rights at all. Right? This is in science fiction, some of the issues with clone technology, and we're not far off. They cloned Dolly the sheep, 10 years ago or something. And what we're really talking about here is this idea of incorporation. And you need to know this. Incorporation is a process to make a legal person. It is, in the law, it's like birth. It is a process to make a legal person. You can all make legal people if you want. You can make as many as you want. There are some rules about how you use them. These legal people you make, they have rights and they have responsibilities, just like people. It doesn't matter that they do not have a body. Humans have bodies. Legal people don't need bodies. They don't need souls. They are a creation of the law. They're a legal fiction, but an extremely powerful legal fiction. So this was first developed in 1844. This is not very old. This is very new. Before this time, before 1844, companies were not separate from their owners. If I opened a company in the year 1750, and I opened a company called David Warner Company, and you wanted to sue me, you'd sue me, David Warner. If I had a partner, Isaac was my partner, you could sue Isaac, you could sue me. Partnership law is very old. And we'll talk about partnership law right after we talk about company law. So partnership law is old, but company law is really new. And what happened in 1844 was there was a court case. So let's talk about this court case because it's really, really important. But first, let me tell you what the court case proved or what rule it created. And it created something called, and here are three words I need you to know, separate legal entity. Entity means person. If you make a company, the company is a separate legal entity. It's not a human, it's more like a person, but the word person isn't a very easy word in law because person, we think of humans. So they use the word entity. Entity means more like creature. And it's separate and it's legal. So a separate legal entity, what does that mean? Well, it means that, and as I said, the company is a legal person. The company has a legal identity, which is very separate from the owners of the company. A company has the right to sue, and a person can sue the company. But, and this is critical, you cannot sue the owners. This is the number one reason to make a company. This is why people make companies. Now, there are lots of other benefits of making a company that we'll talk about. There are tax benefits. There are benefits that it's much easier to raise money because a company can sell stock. There's benefits of credibility. If you have a company, people will invest more than if you're a sole proprietor, if you're one person running a business. But the number one reason to open a company is if David Warner Incorporated, DWI, makes a contract with Jody to buy shirts, and I break the contract. Now, here's where it gets really tricky. I, David Warner, break the contract, but I can't be sued. It doesn't matter how much money I have. It doesn't matter if I am a billionaire with 20 cars and 10 mansions. Jody can't touch me. He can sue DWI. Well, what if they only have $10,000? Well, then I guess they only have $10,000. There are rules to make sure that DWI can't cheat Jody, or else a lot of people would. But Jody can't touch me or my money. And that's really, really important. So in 1897, there was this court case called Salomon v. Salomon that started all of this. As I said, the original law was 1844. That's when the government created this law. This court case was the first case that tested the law. So it's a very important case, and it established two rules, and I need you to know these rules. Number one, a company is a separate legal entity. Number two, a company is responsible for its own debt. These are the two laws. A company is a separate legal entity. It is a person. And two, a company is responsible for its own debt. If DWI makes a contract with Jody, DWI is responsible for the debt, not me, not my mother, not my father. It doesn't matter how much money we have, makes no difference.
But isn't it your company, and isn't the money coming out from your pockets?
Well, no. DWI is a person. There's a person now named DWI. The money comes from his or its bank account. Now, did I put the money in that bank account? Sure. But it's not my money because it's a person. It has its own money. If DWI makes contracts with Jody and the contracts go very well and DWI makes a lot of money, can I take that money out of DWI's bank account and use it to buy a car? Can I just take all the money and use it for my own purposes?
Yes,
Why? DWI is a person.
but you're the owner.
I'm the owner of the company. I have all the shares of stock in that company. But it's still a person. I still have to respect the rules. I can't take all the money out. I could take some out, maybe. But I have to keep enough money so that DWI has enough money to live. DWI has to pay its taxes. DWI needs to make other contracts. DWI has to have money in case it's sued. Now, if I take all the money out, then I can be sued personally. So we'll talk about how I can be sued personally, but let's first understand this case of Salomon v. Salomon. So in 1897, or a little earlier, in 1892 or 1891, Aaron Salomon made a company, and he was a leather boot manufacturer. He made boots. So he had 7 people in this company. It was himself, his wife, his daughter, and his 4 sons. This company was very successful, and in 1892, he sold the company. And when he sold the company, he got 3 things. This is pretty important. So first, he got cash. And cash is king. That's it. He got the cash. Number 2, he got a $10,000 secured debenture. I'll talk about what that means in a second. And number 3, he got 40,000 $1 shares. Oh, sorry, he got 20,001 of the 40,000 $1 shares, which means he was the controlling owner. I'll come back to this. He took all of the assets as security for the debenture, So he took all assets as security. 1 year later, right? He did this in 1892. 1 year later, the company went out of business and they owed $11,000 to creditors. Everybody understand the word creditors? Banks. They owed money to banks. Now, Salomon was a secured creditor. He was paid first, and there was no money left for the banks, the unsecured creditors. They sued Salomon. They said he should pay the bank because he's the same as the company. And the court said no. Number one, the company is a separate legal entity. Number two, the company is responsible for its own debt. Now let's go back and make sure we understand this. So everybody understands he got three things. Number one, he got cash. Number two, he got shares. Now, when the company went out of business, Isaac, when the company went out of business, how much money were these shares worth?
When you went out of business? It says $1 shares.
So was the company still very valuable when it went bankrupt?
No.
So how much were the shares worth?
$1.
Isaac, if today you go out and you buy some shares of Apple, the computer company, and then tomorrow Apple loses all of their money and goes bankrupt, are your shares still worth a lot of money?
No.
How much are your shares worth?
0.
That's right. If a company goes out of business and goes bankrupt, the shares are worth nothing. Now, if you buy Apple stock today, right? I don't remember the price of Apple right now. I think it was like $100 because they split. So let's say it's $100 for a share of Apple, and you buy 10 shares. Now, how much money does that cost, Isaac? 10 shares, $1,000 each. Oh, sorry, 10 shares, $100 each.
1,000.
And if the company goes out of business, how much money did you lose?
1,000.
Now, if Apple owed $1 million to the bank, do you have to pay that?
No.
No, because you're not Apple. Apple's a person, and Apple has to pay for their own debt. So if they owe $1 million to the bank, they pay for that. You just lost the value of your share. But Salomon got something else. He got a $10,000 secured debenture. So let's understand this. Debenture, now this is part of a different kind of law that we'll learn after employment law if there's time, called capital maintenance. A debenture is a piece of paper. It's a document that you make when you borrow or lend money. It's a contract for borrowing or lending money. Now let's say, Isaac, I want to borrow money from you. Isaac, you want to lend me some money?
How much?
Yes. I want to borrow 100,000 RMB. How's that? I want to open a restaurant and I want to borrow 100,000 RMB. Thank you. Thank you so
Sure.
much. Great. Okay. Now, there are two possibilities here. Number one, you and I make a contract and I say, oh, Isaac, thank you so much for the money. I promise, man, I'm going to pay you back with 10% interest. I promise. Now, let's say that I also borrow money from the bank. But you know, Isaac, when you borrow money from a bank, they don't just give it to you. You need something called collateral. Anybody know what's collateral?
It's not like the guarantee.
Yeah. The bank is not just going to give you money. They want some kind of guarantee that if you can't pay them back, they can take something valuable. So for the bank, I give them a guarantee of the restaurant building. Okay, I own this first floor building and it's worth 1 million RMB. And so I make a guarantee with the bank. They lend me 1 million and I use this building as collateral to guarantee it. I also need to borrow some money from Nicola. And Nicola's smart. He says, hey, David, I want a guarantee also. And I say, okay, what do you want? And he says, well, you know, you're opening a restaurant. You have all these tables and chairs. You have these lights. You have forks and knives. You have all this stuff. if you don't pay me back, you got to sell all the stuff and give me the money. I say, okay, no problem. I sign this contract with Nicola. I also want to borrow money from Jody, and Jody wants a guarantee also. But Jody, I say, listen, man, I already guaranteed the place. I already guaranteed all the furniture. And Jody says, well, what about the food? You have steak, you have lobster, you have all this stuff. There's some value there. And I say, okay, sure. I borrow some money from Jody and I guarantee the stuff. So now I've borrowed money from a bunch of different places. What happens when my business goes bankrupt? Who gets paid first? Well, the people or bank, because a bank is a person, the people who have security get paid first. So the bank has what's called fixed security, which means land or a building. They get paid first. Then Nicola gets paid because Nicola and Jody are the same. They both have security over something that's floating. It's not fixed, but Nicola was first in time. So the bank gets paid first, then Nicola, then Jody. Now, Isaac, I have no more money. I gave my money to the bank and then Nicola and then Jody. Isaac, what can you do?
All right.
Yep, exactly. You know, you've lost all your money because you were unsecured. So whenever we borrow money from somebody, we want to write a debenture, which is just a contract that says, if you can't pay me back, your guarantee is you're going to sell what, and give me the money. That's a very important contract in borrowing or lending money. And that contract is called a debenture. So Salomon was smart. He had a secured debenture, which means he gets paid back first. And in this case, the banks didn't. They were unsecured. So they were very angry. They said, this is totally unfair. Salomon gets all this cash. His stock has no value, but he got all this cash. I mean, look, we're talking about almost $30,000 in 1897. That is a lot of money. So he gets all this cash and he gets the $10,000. And the court said, yeah, he was secured. Salomon is a person and the company Salomon is totally different. You lent money to the company. The company has no more money. They gave their money. They followed the law. You always give it to the secured creditor first, the person who has the guarantee. They always get it first. So you banks, you didn't get that guarantee.
For me, it was a little bit confused. So when Salomon sell the company, instead someone give him cash, they give him a debenture of another thing. It's like they give him the paper.
So he got three things, right? So he got the cash. He also got the stock, the shares, and he also got a piece of paper. And the piece of paper said, if we go out of business, you get paid $10,000 first. So this was a really successful company. And he said to them, I want $40,000 or $50,000 cash. And they said, listen, we can't do that. We don't have that much money. How about this? We believe we're going to be successful. So you want to take a risk? We'll give you $29,000 cash. And then if we go out of business, we'll give you another 10. If we're successful, you have 20,000 shares. That right now is worth $20,000. Well, I guess 20,001. This has all this value now. So take a risk. If we're really, really successful, those shares will go to $2, $3, $4, and you'll make so much money. And if we fail, we promise you $10,000. So you make money either way. And the court said, cool, absolutely. You can do this because Salomon is a company.
Sir, I have a question. So now he just sold Cerise the company. Why the bank is complaining?
So the company went out of business,
and
the company owed $11,000 to the bank.
Oh, yeah. Now I see.
And the bank said, okay, pay us. And the company said, I'm sorry, we can't pay you. We have to pay Salomon. And the company said, what do you mean you have to pay Salomon? That's ridiculous. But Salomon, they said, Salomon is the company. And the bank said, no, he's not. And so they went to court, and the court said, no, Salomon is not the company. There's David Warner and there's DWI. They're separate.
I also have a question. The bank loaned the company, loan the money to the company. When they loan the money, they agree for a certain or particular contract, like we loan you the money, but we become investiture. No, we loan you the money as a bank with a fixed interest, right?
They did not ask for anything. They just loaned the money. That was the bank's problem. The bank was unsecured.
Okay.
If the bank was smart, they would have said, you need to give us a guarantee.
Yeah.
But they didn't. And that's it. If you don't have a guarantee, it doesn't matter what people say. If people say, oh man, I promise you I'll give you back the money, it doesn't matter. What if they don't have the money? What are you going to sue them for? Blood? They don't have the money.
I think this is back in the day. Now, I think if you take a loan, you need a liable person, like a guarantee.
Yes.
I think it's not back in the day.
Oh, well, of course, this was, more than 100 years ago. But yeah, back in the day, there were more private banks that were small, little banks. What now we'd probably call a loan shark. It wasn't what we think of. It wasn't like Citibank or Deutsche Bank. It's not like that. Back in the day, these were like Tiffany's family had money, so they decided they're going to be a bank. It's not, you could do that. Okay. I own 75% of the shares in a steel company. I have also lent the company money, and they owe me for the loans that I gave them to keep them in business. 2 weeks after I got the insurance, there was an explosion at the factory and all the steel was destroyed. I called the insurance company to claim for the money as the steel was insured in my name. Harry, can I get the money? What do you think? Well, Harry, let's start with the difference between the owner and the company, because that's really what we're talking about. Incorporation is a process of making a legal person. So who am I in this example?
You lent the money, the company money.
I lent the company money. Yeah. So how many characters, how many people are in this story?
Is there 2 people?
Yes, there's I and there's the company, right? They're 2 separate people. Now, I own 75% of the shares in this company. So I'm the main shareholder. Am I the company?
No.
No, because the company is a legal person. I am David. The company is DWI. They're 2 separate people. Now, I lent money to the company. So I, David Warner, lent money to the person named DWI. And DWI owes me money. I have insured the steel in my own name, David Warner. Then there was an explosion at the factory and all the steel was destroyed. I call the insurance company to claim for the money because the steel was insured. Who owned the steel?
You, because you insured it in your own name.
Who? Well, maybe it's not clear. Who does this steel really belong to? Who bought the steel?
The company.
Yeah, this is a steel company. The company bought this steel, and then I insured it. Can I do that? Harry, have you ever owned a car?
No, I haven't owned a car.
Let's say you go and buy a car. Can I, let's say I'm your good friend and I have some money, can I insure your car in my name? Anybody know
think
the answer to that?
No,
No, I
No,
can't.
you cannot.
Why
you are
not?
not
No.
Only
You're
your
not-
parents, but it's like both of you are on the same identity card. So you
Okay.
both, like a couple can do
But
this, parents
But
can do.
what would be the problem? What's
Depends.
the problem with me insuring Harry's car? I mean, I just want to help him. I'm his rich friend. What's wrong with doing that?
That's legal responsibility, liability.
Okay.
No.
Tiffany, is there any problem with me insuring Harry's car? I'm just trying to be cool.
Yeah, there's problems because it's not like there's problems not just with like ownership here. It's because the company is a different entity than the person who's buying the insurance here. They're not working for the company.
Okay,
and
that's
the
true.
Owner, but they're
Well,
not.
let's stick with the idea of Harry's car. If I insure Harry's car, that means that if Harry gets in an accident, I get the insurance money. Right?
And also there's another thing, like, for example, you are a teacher and you are like in your 30s, 40s, but Harry just graduate, he's like
Well,
20.
that shouldn't matter. I mean, his parents could
No.
insure his car. Why can't I? What if I'm his best friend in the world? We've been friends since we were kids. Here's the problem. If Harry gets into an accident, I collect the money. So I have an incentive for Harry to get into an accident. Do I care if Harry's safe? No, I get the money. This is the same reason I can't insure your house. Because then if I want money, maybe I'll burn down your house. I don't care if you burn down your house, I get the money. The whole purpose of insurance is you don't want damage to this thing because it's yours. You can't insure other people's stuff. So in this case, the court said, this is Makora, the court said this was actually a timber company, a wood, not steel. But Makora insured the company's wood in his own name. Then the wood was destroyed by fire, and the court said, no, you can't claim on the insurance because you didn't own it. The company owned it. And only the owner of goods can insure the goods. And in this case, the company owned the wood. So it doesn't matter that I lent them the money to buy it. As I said before, if there's David Warner and there's DWI, if I lend money to the company and then the company buys a car, that car belongs to the company, not me. If I lend money to the company and then the company buys a building, that building belongs to the company, not me. I am a shareholder of the company because legal people have shares, but I am not the company. So this idea of
insurance company do this kind of insurance. I mean, is it not unfair?
Oh, well, this was just it was a mistake by the company. I mean, the insurance company should have known better. They made a mistake. Northern Assurance back in 1925. At this point, it just wasn't established law. Insurance law is not very old. I mean, it's a new kind of law. Okay. I would say we can stop there for today. There's a little more to talk about with this idea of legal personality, but I want to make sure that we don't get too far beyond this. Let me do one more thing. So one other thing I want to say is a company is a legal person. They have 3 rights. Number 1, the right to own property. Number 2, the right to make contracts. Number 3, the right to sue and be sued in court. These are the basic rights that a legal person has. So if we made an AI or a robot or a computer that actually could be a legal person, they would have these rights. Now imagine this. I open a company called DWI, David Warner Incorporated, and I need to hire a CEO. So I hire Nicola. Nicola is a software programmer, a coder, and Nicola builds an AI. That's what I hired Nicola to do. He builds this AI. The AI's name is CEO. And I put this AI in charge of my company. Now, the software CEO, the program CEO, runs the company. The company is a legal person. But of course, the company is, it's not anything. It's just a shell. It's a company. It is run by the software CEO. The software has the power to own property. Now, CEO, the software can't own property. The company can, but CEO chooses what to buy. And CEO, the software cannot make contracts, but the company can, and CEO makes those contracts. So in this sense, the AI is a person, and it has the power to do these things through a legal person, a company. Does that make sense? It's a little scary, but it can happen. Anybody familiar with the Turing test? Anybody know who's Alan Turing? Alan Turing in the 1950s was a Harvard mathematician, and he created a test that couldn't be done because the technology was not enough. But the test was very simple. You have a person in one room and a computer in one room, and then you have a decider, a judge in a third room. And the judge will ask questions to the human and ask questions to the computer. They didn't have the internet back then, now we do, but ask questions to the computer, type questions. And if the judge cannot tell the difference between a person and a computer, then that computer had a personality and qualified as an artificial intelligence. So in fact, now that we have the technology, the Turing test is conducted at a secret location every year. Because if they had the open location, people would go and protest. Because of course, this is scary to people. The idea that an AI could absolutely be put in charge of a company. And then the company has all these legal powers. And so I was involved with this test one year, many years ago. And the program that won that year was named Alice. It's funny, all of these programs are actually 19-year-old girls. That's their personality, because that's who people will talk to on the internet, is 19-year-old girls. And so they just live on the internet, on chat boards and stuff like that. They talk to people and learn, and then the coders fix their code. And so I spoke with Alice, this computer, and you would never in a million years know that she wasn't a person. And this was about 15 years ago. She was amazing. So I was one of the judges, and my job was to try to trick her. So like, instead of saying I'm David, I would say I would write I'm D to the A to the VID. Because you are people, you would know what I mean. I'm just being silly. But a computer wouldn't know that, like one of these bots wouldn't know that. Or I'm D period, A period, V period, like stuff like that. Or if I write the words W instead of the letter W. Alice, you couldn't fool her at all. You could ask her about anything because she had access to the internet. She could talk about movies and books and whatever. And that was 15 years ago. So it's a very interesting discussion of, this is a very modern kind of law.
Is it like Siri right now on our iPhone or Google Map, to be honest?
Oh, it's a lot better than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's orders of magnitude better. I mean, this is technology that they don't release to the public yet.
So to have an idea is like Google. Anything I want to know, they know. If someone write an article about it, if someone documented everything, okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So interesting areas of law. Okay, let me stop the recording there.